Yeah, so this plan of ours to build unlimited social housing, without dumping a bunch of debt on future generations. There's a self-funding proposal. It tackles several aspects. It tackles that place aspect we talk about, because you can start planning on a community-wide basis rather than just individual houses. It takes on that setting the standard thing I mentioned in social housing. What I want to see is these houses being built at the highest level of energy efficiency for climate reasons, for comfort reasons as well. Why do we have a heating bill when we can design a house that doesn't need one? At the time I wrote the paper, Good Houses for All, we were still arguing that Scotland had to raise basic building standards across the board to meet the climate challenges. And we saw one way of doing that as saying, right, okay, if you're not going to raise the minimum energy efficiency for new build housing, you can still unofficially raise it by building a bunch of social housing at the highest possible energy efficiency, and put people in the position of saying, well, I could buy a house or I could privately rent a house. If I privately rent, it's going to cost me 3 times as much, and I can see the water running down the walls, and the landlord doesn't live here, don't even know who they are. How do I get anything fixed? Or I can have that council house that costs a fraction in the rent and is much more comfortable. You start using the social housing to outcompete the private sector on standards and on price.
That's clever.
And then the council or whoever has put up the money in the first place, they are then getting an income from that house.
This is a key thing that I can't believe I still have to argue this with the Scottish Government. We've been doing this with our plans over the Public Energy Company as well. They say, we can't do it, we don't have the powers, we don't have the borrowing powers. Local authorities do. Local authorities have much broader borrowing powers than the Scottish Government, especially when it comes to what's known as prudential borrowing. So local authorities are allowed to borrow money so long as they can make the case that the investment will pay back the loan. Mm-hmm. So you build a house, you get rent, you pay back the loan. Now this is harder to do with something like a school or a hospital where there isn't that same revenue stream, which is why we had the whole PFI debacle. That's another podcast. But in housing, it's much more trivial. In energy companies as well, much more trivial. The investment pays for itself. And local authorities have multiple ways of getting that money. The most direct one is the Public Works Loan Board, which I know has been used for social housing.